Hey you guys, Jeremy37X here, and welcome to episode 1 of Gardens 101. This is a tutorial series on the recent-ish Gardens feature in Cookie Clicker. This is something that a lot of people have requested in the past. The gardens have a lot of depth to them, and there's a lot of nuances and different things that you can do with it, but it is also, I would say, one of the most important assets to your time playing the game at the moment. So first off, just real quick, this is just like a random I made this save specifically for this series, so it's I've been cheating quite a bit, to be honest, just to get me stuff that I need so that I can show you guys everything that I need to. So anywho, this first episode is mostly going to be on basic garden stuff. It's going to be short-ish. I'm just going to be going over a lot of the basics. Some of the stuff you guys might already know, but even some of these things I've been asked about in the past, so I figured it's good to kind of start at a very simple spot, and then there's going to be a good number of entries in this series, I would expect, that'll come out over time. But anywho, so first things first, how do you access the gardens? So, once you hit, I believe it's 1 billion cookies baked total. It's in here somewhere. Yeah, once you've baked at least 1 billion cookies, you start generating sugar lumps here. This is a currency you can use to upgrade your different buildings, but for our purposes, we're going to be focusing on the farms. There's a few things you can upgrade to get minigames, which here you can see if you upgrade farms to level 1, you unlock a minigame. In this case, the garden. Boop. So right off the bat, you'll see there's quite a bit going on here. So let's start with our tools. So this will show you the combined effect of all of your plants that you currently have planted. So for example, if I plant a baker's wheat seed, which gives 1% CPS, you can see I get 0.10%. Since it's still small, it doesn't give the full bonus. We'll get to that in a bit. But this basically shows you all of the combined passive effects that all your plants are giving you, and it also tells you a few little tips about it, such as how you can crossbreed plants, unlock new seeds. When you ascend, you keep your plants, you keep all your seeds, but you lose all your current plants, and when the game's closed, nothing happens here. This one just harvests all the plants in your garden, pretty straightforward. This one will freeze your garden, so if you are trying to go for a certain unlock and you can't be you want to keep Cookie Clicker open, but you can't be watching it closely to, you can't keep your eye on it, you can freeze it, which will, no countdowns will happen, you can't change things, you can't plant things, none of your plants will decay. It's as if the game was closed, basically, as far as the plants are concerned. Next we have different soil types. These are unlocked at various farm intervals, so you start out with dirt, ticks every 5 minutes, pretty straightforward. We'll get to what ticks mean in a little bit. The next one, this one you unlock with 50 farms total purchased, is the fertilizer. It ticks every 3 minutes, which basically means that your plants will grow about 40% faster, but your passive effects will be lessened by 25%, and you will get more weeds to appear, which actually, it's in red, but it actually can be a good thing, early on at least. But again, that's something we'll probably get into in the next episode or two, what weeds are all about. This one you unlock with 100 farms purchased. It's clay, it takes every 15 minutes, so your plants take 3 times as long to grow and decay, which the decaying part is potentially useful, and your passive plant effects are boosted by 25%. So this is good if you have a bunch of passive plants that you really like their effect, because this amplifies it and it keeps the effect around for longer. This one you unlock with 200 farms purchased. This is kind of a weird one. It takes every 5 minutes, just like regular dirt, so they take the normal amount of time to grow. Passive plant effects are minus 75%, so your plant effects are not going to be doing much at all. You have a 35% chance of harvesting seeds automatically when plants expire. So basically, if you have a plant growing that you don't have the seeds to yet, and it decays naturally, you have a 35% chance of getting the seeds anyway. So this is potentially a way for you to unlock new plants without you having to monitor the game very closely. But it's only a 35% chance, so if you get a really rare plant to grow, and you don't get that chance, then you're just screwed. So, whoops. It's a bit of an odd one. It says a little bit at the bottom. They added a blurb used for the farmers who want to find a new seeds without having to tend to the garden. Yeah, so that's kind of what it's for. And also you get 10 times less weeds, so weeds are very rare to spawn, which is good because weeds can completely destroy your your gardens. And lastly, this is unlocked at 300 farms. Ticks every 5 minutes, so regular growth again. Passive plant effects minus 75% again, so your plants are not going to be doing much. But they spread and mutate 3 times more, and you also get the 10 times less weed chance here. It might be a little overwhelming at first, like which one to choose. I would, for the majority of the time, while you're still trying to unlock the seeds, if your goal is to unlock all the seeds, which if you're playing this game a lot, it probably should be, you're going to want to stick mostly to wood chips, because this is going to give you basically 3 times as much of a chance to get new plants as you would otherwise. So this is going to be the one you'll want to stick with most of the time. You can potentially optimize it by using fertilizer to make them grow up to the point that they're mature and then switch into this, but that's, again, something we'll get into in a little bit here. You have your seeds. Right off the bat, you only start with baker's wheat, but I'll go ahead and go through kind of all the information that's displayed here. Control-Shift-Click, you can harvest all mature plants of the type, which is convenient once they're matured. Basically, their lifespan is set there, the average lifespan. If I change soil types, that'll actually see it's 1 hour and 2 minutes, but if I switch to fertilizer, it actually updates to 37 minutes. So, it actually will update accordingly to the soil type that you currently have. So the lifespan and maturation time and all that is accurate to what it actually is. It takes 13 ticks. Basically, the constant thing here is 13 ticks. The thing that changes that is that here, ticks happen every 3 minutes versus every 5. So instead of 13 ticks being 1 hour and 2 minutes, 13 ticks instead becomes 37 minutes just because the ticks happen more frequently. And that's basically how all of the plants grow in this game. How they work is they go through a few different stages of growth. Actually, I'll get to that in just a moment, actually, sorry. So, possible mutations. By having plants in proximity to each other, you can get mutations, which is how you unlock new plants in the game. And the possible mutation says that all of the currently known plants that can be mutated off of the plant that you're looking at. And it also says how many total mutations there are, which is nice. It has a planning cost, and then it also says how that cost is calculated, which in this case is just 1 minute of CPS with a minimum of 30 cookies. And then the effect, of course, tells you what passive effect it's going to provide for you. Sometimes it's more of an active effect, but we'll get into that when we start unlocking more plants. And then there's a little blurb about it. So if we plant it, you see a little bit more shows up. At the top there, it shows you that meter. Every interval, the plant effect will increase. So when it's a bud, which is right after you plant it, you only get 10%, which is why if we go here, we only get 0.1% CPS boost, because the total boost is 1%, so 10% of that is 0.1%. The next stage is, I don't remember all the names, but the next stage you get 25% of the effect, then the next one is 50, and then finally you get 100% of the effect when it's fully grown, which is when the green part of the bar begins. And then between there and the very end of the bar, it stays mature the whole time, but it will start to decay. Once the bar empties, the plant will die, basically, and it will remove itself from your garden, and nothing else happens with it unless you have pebbles, in which case you have a chance to get seeds from it if you don't already have the seeds. And the last thing you'll notice is our plot size is 1 out of 9, upgrades with farm level. Basically, you can upgrade this here to increase your plot size, which I'm going to go ahead and max out, just so we have as much space to work with as possible. This is certainly not required. If you're first starting out the gardens, you really only need the base one. Some of the more complex plants maybe require like a 3x3 grid, but in general, you can do most of what you want with just the basic grid. It's just a lot more challenging to unlock new plants. But for the sake of showcase, I'm going to be keeping with the biggest plot of land here. So how this works is I'm just gonna go over kind of the basics of crossbreeding before we end it off here, and I think that will do it for today's introductory, because this video is kind of all you need to get started with the gardens, and then the later ones will be kind of elaborating on stuff. So I'm going to have some example plants here. So we have this. As it is, this will not spread. It will not do anything. It will grow, and then it will die. But if I put a plant here, for example, any spaces that are intersections of 2 or more plants have a possibility of growing a plant of their own. So these 3 spaces here are all one of the 8, are between this kind of square radius around a plant. So if those radii intersect at any point, then you can get mutations. So all 3 of these have a chance to have one of the possible mutations between 2 baker's wheats, which in the case of baker's wheat, I believe there are 3 or 4 things you can get. You can get thumb corn, you can get baker's wheat, so it's possible you just get another baker's wheat from it. You can get thumb corn, which is a new plant. You can get baker's berry, which is very rare, and I want to say you can get a different one. I haven't looked at this stuff in a little while, so that's what you get from each plant is something I'm going to elaborate more in a future video. But basically, that's how the basics of crossbreeding works. So you get plants, you get them next to each other, or not right next to each other, but you get them like so that they have adjacent spaces, and then those spaces can grow you new plants. You wait until that new plant is mature, and then you click it to harvest it. You will unlock the seeds for that plant, and you can then use that and try crossbreeding that with more of your other plants. So once you get thumb corn, you can then crossbreed thumb corn with baker's wheat, and I want to say you get chrono rice or something along those lines. You get a new plant. You can potentially get a new plant from that, and then so on and so forth. That's how the unlocking process works. Some people like to just experiment with the plants and try and find crossbreeds on their own, which is perfectly valid. And, you know, if that's how you prefer to play, you go right ahead. This is all of the basics that you need to get your gardens rolling. But for those of you who don't feel like sitting and trying to discover every single combination, because as you can see, there's 34 seeds in the game. So, that would take, it's a lot of experimentation. Some plants actually have more than 2 parents. So some plants require, like, for example, 5 of a certain type of plant, or some of them have 8. So, like, there's one plant where you need 8 of a plant around it, and then this one single space can potentially grow something. So there's a lot of situations like that. There's a lot of caveats to the different plants. There's a lot to it, basically. So if you want more tips on that, I would recommend that you drop a subscription to the channel, because I'm going to be going on vacation soon, so the next video might not be for a little bit, at least in the next video in this series. But next time I think I'm going to go into a little bit more depth on breeding and at least some of the basic different plants that you can get pretty early on, like thumb corn, baker's berry, chrono rice, stuff like that. Some of the earlier stuff, you know, in case you just want to kind of get a little bit of a head start on how to unlock some of the earlier plants. So yeah, if that's of interest to you, if you guys want to see more videos like this, please like, comment, and like I said, subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. And check out my twitch.tv channel in the description, where currently, well, when this video goes out, like I said, I'll be on vacation, so I'm not going to be streaming for a bit. But right now, I'm streaming the Splatoon 2 Octo expansion, as well as, keeping with the Octo theme, oddly enough, Octopath Traveler. When I get back from vacation, I plan on making that my new focus. And I also stream stuff with my my roommate, Secret Survival. We do stuff on Fridays, typically. And, but yeah, that concludes the tutorial for now. I will see you guys next time for some more info on crossbreeding and how to unlock new seeds. So, hope you guys enjoy the video, and I will see you guys later.